Dream video, take 2. So, I have had a few dreams that I think are worth sharing with people, and uh, so a couple weeks ago, I ran into a friend of mine just in a parking lot in town, and I was talking to him about some of the AI crypto stuff really going up and how suddenly and quick it was. And a few of those are, ones that God had highlighted to me. And I said, with this coming to pass, starting to take place, I said, it's so quick, making these decisions, some trades, it can become like a full-time job. And so anyway, I was real excited. I said, please, his name is Ed. I said, Ed, pray for me now, so I'll have wisdom to know what to do in the next stages as these things unfold. And so we prayed. He prayed for me in the parking lot. Basically, he was saying, Lord, I just ask that you'll give Michael financial wisdom. So that night, I had 2 dreams about 2 different crypto, HBAR and Dogecoin. So in the dream about HBAR, I was in a library. It was a setting like a public library where you had a section with bookshelves and just rows of bookshelves on one side, and then there was a computer lab. And I was in the computer lab section, and there was people there, all from all walks of life. One thing that stood out, there was white people, black people, Hispanic people, male and female, and even people from different lifestyles. And that's something that I've actually noticed that stood out. Well, each person was seated by a desktop computer, and like a classic representation of a monitor and a computer tower. And so the thing that stood out, I knew each person had this device, and the device was a black tower that would stand on the tabletop, and it stood about 18 to 20 inches tall, or between a foot and 2 foot. And the little devices, they looked like those indoor oscillating tower fans. The indoor fans that I'm referring to, they're usually black, and they'll have vents, and you put them in the corner of a living room or whatever, and they blow. But they're a vertical unit. They might be 3 to 4 foot tall. So these devices I saw that were prevalent in this computer lab, in this library, were like miniaturized versions of those. And I knew that somehow they were tapped into the Hedera network, which Hedera network, their native token is HBAR. And the main theme, I just knew I need to get me one of these devices. I need to get one of these devices. That was the thought. I didn't have one, and everyone else did. So, trying to think about the implication of this dream, what it made me think is that a day is coming when it would be normal for individuals to have what we kind of call mining rigs today, or operating decentralized nodes. It it could be a lot more prevalent. And the fact that this took place in a library, you know, a library has information, so I'm thinking that part of this is just where my mind went, part of this participation could be data storage, decentralized data storage, and these units could be ways that you participate in adding that computational power to the network, and specifically Hedera. So that dream stood out to me, something to think, you know, as if you've listened to half of my videos, you know, usually I'm often talking about specific tokens, you know, and maybe price points or expectations to have, whether the market, you know, whether you can expect something to crash or whether you can expect something to go up. And so never before have I put any serious thought into the hardware side, and, you know, considered participating in a network, and this dream opened that window of possibility for me to just press in and think about and do a little research. The second dream I had that night was about Dogecoin, and it was pretty simple and straightforward. Brief. I was indoors, and there was a switch on the wall, a big, I don't know what to compare it to, but a large, like a light switch, and it had a block. So I'll use this. Instead of being a flip of the switch, there was a block on the wall, and you could move it down, and then you could move it up. Just two directions. It was a little bigger than this in the dream, but when I would get it, I'd grab it and I'd pull it down, and there was resistance. And the resistance dictated how much time it took to move the block. Okay? And when I got fully in the down position, I could see on this little screen that movement had generated a certain amount of Dogecoin. Just say in the dream it was like 8 Dogecoin or something. And then I moved it back up, and it generated more. And that was pretty much the extent of that. You know, if you see people with these thermostats in their houses, with the readout, or even maybe nowadays people might have other kind of things like that, but a thermostat would be a good representation. This unit was about as big as a thermostat, but as simple as a light switch with a block, and when the block moved, it made Dogecoin register on. So that caused me to look into some things, that dream, which now, if I'm not mistaken, Dogecoin is proof of work, but it's a lot more energy efficient than Bitcoin, and it's faster. And the difference between Dogecoin and Bitcoin is Dogecoin is inflationary. There is no cap on the total supply, and so the miners are the ones who get rewarded in the Dogecoin. Every block, the Dogecoin network operators receive whatever their allocation is for how much they contribute. And there's been some talks that Dogecoin could move to proof of stake, which would eliminate the miners. So I don't know exactly, you know, why I had this dream. I can't say that, you know, it was all God, you know. There was no identifying factors in the dream that made me believe that God's hand was all over this dream, but it again causes me to think that the Dogecoin network could be here to stay, worth looking into, and that perhaps at some point in the future there will be ways of participating that harness kinetic energy. That's kind of, so my broad takeaway from these two dreams is that instead of just praying about tokens and prices, and it's time to go a little deeper and learn about the foundational technology that is going to carry these networks into the future, how these networks could be upgraded, and what type of hardware is going to be required for them to perform. Hedera is probably going to have many applications built on it. Dogecoin, that would be unclear. I'm sure they could modify Dogecoin in a way to where it had more use cases. Right now, it's pretty much just a currency. It's just transactional, a lot like Bitcoin. So, that being said, I think God was shaping me to increase my awareness so that I could increase knowledge about the hardware side of things. And it also makes me think, that at some point in the future, if you have a strategic energy supply, whether it would be solar or kinetic generated, that you could generate not only electricity, which would be great, but also maintain these networks, and so you would instantly be diversified. Electricity is always in demand, but if you're also able to generate passive income through data storage and participating in a network, or or contributing computational power to a network, that's a whole nother stream of income. Something to think about. And then the third dream, oh gosh, spammers. I get spam calls. The third dream I had is controversial. I can't say that I believe it's from God or not from God. It was a dream. It was out of nowhere. This is just 2 days ago, I think I had it. So I can use this as a demonstration. I had a dream, and it was in the midst of other dreams, none of which I could say, I know that was God. When I have a God dream, and I can say, I know that was from God, my track record on those is pretty high, getting it right in my interpretation. There's other dreams that don't have the divine inspiration, or when something is from God, like a dream, things are alive. It's like living water. It could be as real as reality itself, but with that, almost like the presence of God is there, and so you just know. It's from God. This XRP dream, I'm going to tell you, didn't have that feature. It was kind of just dry and straight to the point. So I had a dream. I got a text message, and I opened up my phone, and I look at the message, and it's 3 words: XRP just lost. And in the dream, I'm going, lost what? And then I thought, oh, the lawsuit. And that was basically it. And so it's actually Ripple. who's in the lawsuit, but the idea that XRP just lost. It was so simple. I don't think about this kind of stuff often in the day. It's not like I was thinking about it before I went to bed or even really concerned about it at all, whether they win or lose. You know, I've talked about it with my brother and some other people, but whether they win or lose, the initial SEC court case, let's say if the SEC deems XRP as security, it's going to shake the market, especially for XRP. But I believe ultimately XRP is going to be pervasive, and it's going to have value, and it's going to be used regardless of that smoke screen. And I thought about doing a joke, and I left the house and didn't get it. I'm getting a tin foil, aluminum, and putting it on my head like Alex Jones, you know, conspiracy theorist. First off, I want to say, if you have educated yourself and you have looked into XRP and Ripple Labs, and you see it's been delisted from some major exchanges, even though it's a top 10 crypto, it's delisted in US from most exchanges. It's the only, with all the scam coins, with the FTX bullcrap and Gemini and all this other stuff, and Voyager, all these exchanges with these phantom tokens that don't have any underlying value, of all the scams and the pancake swap rug pulls, the only major court case in the news is Ripple versus the SEC. Why would a company who has a central organization and headquarters with the CEO and a whole team who's, I believe, partnered with people all over the world, governments and financial institutions, why would they be the only ones getting raked through the coals in America? If you hold XRP, you're probably a conspiracy theorist by now. Why would the court case take 2 years? Is it that hard? A 2-year case? So, I think the only way they can, like, you know, those people, we all seem to think they're out there that control and manipulate markets and whatever else, and that own the media. The people that own the media, the perverts that somehow want to control people's thoughts and pit people against each other using race politics, identity politics, and everything else under the sun. Anyways, the theys want, I guess, for the average American not to want to touch this stuff. So if you hold XRP, if you believe in its future, that almost qualifies you to be a conspiracy theorist. Number one, because you're believing the media is not being, maybe not honest, but they're not being truly objective or factual in presenting any of this information to the average investor or average American. So I've got off on that tangent. I don't know what else to say. The dream about XRP just lost. There's a brother in the Lord. His name is Kyle Day. As far as I'm aware, he's got recently started a YouTube channel. Most of the content that he's put out that I've seen revolves around crypto, wealth transfer type That's the subject matter. So, interestingly, he said he and his wife, he released a video a few weeks ago. He and his wife were praying, and his wife just started laughing at some point during their prayer time. And he's like, what? What's so funny? And he goes on to give this disclaimer. He said, I'm not a dates person. You know, because we all know if you've given a date, so far, everyone who's given dates that I've seen has been off. Whether it's Shiba prices or whatever. And that's okay, I guess. He said, I'm not a dates person. I try to steer clear, but I'm just going to tell you what my wife said. He said she heard something, it was like March 15th. And she saw the price of Luna Classic was 6 cents, I think. You'd have to go watch his video to get the exact information, but I think he said 0.06, which would be 6 cents. And he said then she saw the price of XRP was less than a penny. So Luna Classic was worth exceedingly more than XRP, and she heard a date associated. So he goes on to basically say the same thing I just said, that he believes XRP is ultimately going to have great value as far as market price, reflected market price. But that in his mind, the only thing that could cause the price to plummet would be the announcement that they lost the court case. But then, if you lose an initial case, you can make an appeal. It might even go to the Supreme Court or something. Which is interesting. I mean, I don't know. Ultimately, I guess anything can go to the Supreme Court. And once it does, and if it does go to the Supreme Court and they make a ruling, usually it's very hard to ever overturn that ruling, no matter what the subject. So I'm not saying anything with absolutes. I'm saying if it was the Lord who gave me the dream, I've never dreamed about XRP. Ever. And I asked God, I don't know, for months, Lord, if you give me a dream about XRP, I can share it. And I thought, so many other people were talking about XRP, 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 XRP. So many people were talking about it. Why do I need to contribute to that conversation anyway? But it is always good to get something for yourself from the Lord. I had heard God in this quiet, still voice tell me to sell some things and to buy some XRP. I was basically selling things I'd never use to buy XRP. And that was at a much higher price than it is now. So if the message in the dream is true, comes to pass that way, it's likely Ripple would make an appeal and have to go through some other way. Kyle Day mentioned that, touched up on the subject, and said he would be convinced, probably that they would win later, and then Ripple and XRP would go on to be adopted with clarity and certainty in the United States. Here's the funny thing. The United States is not the center of the universe anymore. And so Ripple has been making partnerships worldwide. Southeast Asia and Egypt, I believe, and Saudi Arabia. So they technically don't need the blessing of the United States to operate on the rest of the world. But it would be nice for everyone to be in agreement for it to be the banking standard in the U.S. to quit dragging its feet. So we don't fully know. You can have all your conspiracy theories, put on your aluminum foil hat, and think what you want. However, if the Lord did show his wife that Luna Classic is going to be at 6 cents, there's a very strong implication for that. So, food for thought. I'll be honest, I was very highly leveraged into Luna Classic because of what God directly showed me. And I continue to be. In the past 3 months, I sold quite a bit to get into some AI crypto projects. The projects I got into, I mentioned one, VAI. It's called Viot. I got into that. I got into AGIX. I got into Cambria, Man, which is Matrix AI. I had bought some Vector Space and a couple others. And I wish I had sold that Luna Classic sooner so I could have gotten, or more sooner, better returns on these AIs. I did good. Praise the Lord. But I had so much conviction about Luna, I didn't really want to have to sell any of it to get, into these other positions. I did little by little. And the moral of the story is now I'm looking to wait for a good time to exit some of those to take profits to put it back into Luna Classic. I do feel an urgency based upon what Kyle said that his wife saw. And there was a time, March, that she connected it with. Sister Sharon from Now Daily Bread, she just issued a video about Luna Classic and it being sort of urgent, or we're closer now than we've ever we're closer now than we have been. Each day that passes, you're one step closer. And then I had a picture. Now, I can't say, I see stuff sometimes and I go, Lord, you know what? I'll be praying and see something. I saw a picture praying of a green candle. It was almost like I'm zoomed out and I can see a whole bunch of little candles, normal,